I'm really interested in the idea of creative confidence and like as it relates to the bottle rocket screening story, I'm sure there's a lot of pros and cons to being completely blindly confident or to filtering everything. And I've heard you talk a lot about, actually the last time I asked you a question at one of these things, like how much you take out of just what affects you in real life, like the watch. And like, just to keep the question practical, like how do you choose what to have faith in and things that like really amuse you or really move you and then, could be crazy or could be great?
Yeah, that's good. The I like the issue of what are you confident in, and that's sort of in some ways that ends up being the crux of it. What do you believe in, enough to follow it through?
I feel in a way that if your bottle rocket story, I feel that with every movie to some degree. If like, wait till they see this, and then and then there's no reaction that will match, that whatever that sort of fantasy parade in your head is, whatever the rules of the game is being, and Citizen Kane, whatever possible comparisons that they could not sense, that no matter what. I'll have that thing if you see a review or something, some early review that's even positive but not as positive as you were hoping. Then later you'll go back after you get some bad ones, searching for that other one to see, like, it was actually better than I gave it.
Yes, and your first reaction was, so it's not possible this is going to be considered a masterpiece.
Right. But
does that answer it?
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
Is there an answer? I guess not.
Well,
no, but that's a good.
Do you think about in the sort of? I don't know. Are there things in? I guess with every movie where you think like you feel more confident about certain aspects of it than others.
Well, that thing of when you're screening. I feel like even after you've screened a movie a few times and still, if you're going to sit through it again, it means you're going to torture yourself with how is this audience reacting? Yeah. We got a much bigger laugh in Paramus for this line, you're very attentive to it all the way through. It's like a performance each time you screen it.
Right, and you totally project your own worst self-criticism into the people sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, look, who does he think he is? There's also, I don't know if you have this sort of like a part of the movie ever sometimes where you think like, we made it through that.
Yes, yeah. That was the thing I was going to say. There are always these things where when we get to this thing, we're fine.
Right.
So when we hit the scene, okay, everything's good for a minute here.
Right. There's
I know there's a rough spot coming up, but for at least 3.5 minutes here, I know this works.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, do you want to tell that the screening with the kids in the front row?
Yeah, I don't know if I remember, but I do. That was a funny thing. We screened the movie, an early version of Fantastic Mr. Fox for some children in London, and it was a bit in a way it was a fun screening, but it was a bit ill-advised because most of the movie was drawings. And so they were watching an animated movie that had not yet been animated. But we were just wanting to see how the story feels. And afterwards, there was a focus group, and a couple of odd things happened.
Were you talking about also the thing with the focus group where you sit behind the...
Yes, yeah. And when you do a focus group, they gather people in the front 2 rows, and then you quietly slip in further back in the theater, and the person interviews them, and the person who interviews them like a professional getting people to talker. They get the names. They say Kevin, Steve. Okay, and they kind of get everybody going.
Yeah.
And
what
they say
words and boring.
Boring. What else?
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's sort of their method.
Right. So it was boring and funny. What else was it? Yeah.
And this person was so we were in that environment, but it was all children. And I remember a couple of odd things. One was the ending. We hadn't quite nailed the ending.
Well, first, also your view, though. You wanted to.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I was going to tell that one thing.
Okay.
First, there was a maybe 13-year-old boy and two 13-year-old girls, English. This is in London, and the ending. We had this thing at the end. We had a little motif that we ended up removing from the movie, but where out of the blue, Mr. Fox would say, in a good spirit, he would say, "Should we dance?" And they would all suddenly dance crazily, and it was a thing that we thought was really funny.
Yeah.
It didn't play, and I remember in that screening, the guy was saying, and ending. Who liked it? Didn't like it? What did we say about the ending? And one of the boys was saying, "I didn't like this part of should we dance?" And it didn't seem effective. And the girl, the two girls, one of the girls were like that. And I thought, they did like it. They thought it was funny. And the person said, "Now you, Annabelle, why are you laughing about the ending?" "Because it didn't work." She's like 12 and a half years old. And the other thing I remember is that there was one seat that appeared to be empty. So all the children there, and one seat was empty. There was no head, the back of a head. But at a certain point in the thing, the person who was doing the talking said, and what was it? She said, like, "And what did you think, Hercule? What did you think?" And she's pointing to the empty seat, and I hear the sound, and she says, "Are you all right? Are you all right? Are you crying? It's all right. We'll go to someone else." I realize how insane it is that there's a little boy who's now in a state of panic, being called upon with 9, 20th Century Fox executives sitting behind him, and me. Really a bit peeved.
As things are going to be taken quite literally by the studio and brought to you as things that need to change about the movie.
Yes, and I just realized, maybe for a focus group, too young and too early in the process.